All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, just 1 year ago, Cleveland Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield could have run for mayor in that city in northern Ohio, and he probably would have won by a landslide. Now, Mayfield and the Browns went 11-5 for their first playoff appearance since 1994, and they were trending upwards in the National Football League. We saw them knock off the Pittsburgh Steelers in a wild card game on the road, and then the Browns had the Kansas City Chiefs on the ropes in the divisional round, only to do Cleveland Brown type things, which resulted in them losing. But the consensus was coming into this season that the Browns are going to be able to build off of that strong season last year and that run into the postseason. And there were some people who expected the Browns to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl this season. That will not be the case, as the Browns have been eliminated from postseason contention even before the regular season ended. And then on top of that, they've already clinched another losing season. Now, the 2021 NFL season has been one to forget for Baker Mayfield. As in 14 starts for the Browns, he has thrown just 17 touchdowns while he's thrown 13 interceptions. And he's also only been able to complete 60.5% of his passes. Mayfield has played through injuries, most notably the torn labrum. We've also seen him deal with a knee injury as well. So, you just have to wonder if he is healthy in 2022, will he be able to improve off of those numbers? But getting back here to this season, of course, the controversy surrounding former Browns wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., who is now traded
Mhm.
to the Los Angeles Rams. Of course, the consensus was that, Odell and Baker just weren't getting it done. And then, of course, Odell got traded to the Rams, and now he has somewhat found the fountain of youth while Baker continues to struggle for the Browns. Now, the thing is, and I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it, Baker is at his best when he can feed off of the Browns' running game. And Cleveland had one of the better rushing attacks last year, and they still have one of the better rushing attacks this season. But not having Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb out there for all of the games, has been a big, to me, I think it's taken away from what Baker has been able to do. But then on top of that, Baker just has not been a clutch performer this year. I mean, you look at what he's done coming down the stretch in the last three games. Two TDs and a pick versus Baltimore. The Browns were able to win that game. You go back to week 16 on the road against Green Bay. The Browns had a chance to win this game, but Baker Mayfield threw four very costly interceptions. And then you look at last night on Monday Night Football, Baker Mayfield was horrific. 16 of 38 passing for a buck 85, two TDs, and two costly interceptions as the Browns fell on the road to the Steelers. The bottom line is you have to ask yourself, aside from the injuries, was the pressure too much for Baker Mayfield this season? And the expectations were so high. And, we saw the expectations be high for Mayfield and the Browns a couple of years ago, and they didn't live up to them. Then, Cleveland, they kind of went under the radar in 2020 because you know what? You had a new head coach trying to get it together with a new system, and it worked. And, this time around, the expectations were once again high, and the Browns, and more importantly, Mayfield, did not live up to them. Too many commercials. I mean, you put on an NFL game and you see all of these chip and dip commercials with Baker Mayfield, and there are going to be some to say, hey, you know what? You need to get back to concentrating on football first. You ask yourself, is this the end for Mayfield in Cleveland? I wouldn't be surprised, just for the simple fact that you have a lot of veteran quarterbacks out there going into the off season potentially. Then on top of that, Mayfield is only 29-30 as a starter. And you could say whatever you want for flash, pizzazz, this, that, and the third. As a quarterback in the NFL, you were judged first and foremost by wins, losses, and then championships. So you look at it right now, this is another black eye for a struggling 2018 first round quarterback draft class. We saw Mayfield go first overall. Right after that, Sam Darnold to the Jets. He struggled there. Now he's with the Carolina Panthers. He's struggling even more. Josh Allen did get the Bills to the AFC Championship game last year. Josh Rosen looks like he's going to flame out. And Lamar Jackson is a former NFL MVP. But nonetheless, you look at Mayfield, he does have the one playoff victory on his resume, but there's a lot of what ifs for him during his time with Cleveland. If he were, or if the Browns rather were looking to go into another direction, I think it would be best for both parties, just for the simple fact I think Baker needs to hit the reset button. On top of that, Baker needs to get healthy. That ankle and that labrum, he tried to work through it this year. Credit to him, but Baker's got to be healthy. He's got to be with a team that has a solid offensive line, and Cleveland did this year, as well as a solid running game. And I think Baker needs to be in a system where he can feed off of that. Baker is a guy. He's not the guy. And I think that's the most important thing. Will he be able to be a leader, whether it be with the Browns in 2022 or with another NFL team? We'll have to wait and see. So there's a lot of growing that Mayfield has to do as a player in the NFL for him to take his game to the next level, especially when a front office is going to give you the keys to the franchise, so to speak, as the franchise quarterback. So it's going to be interesting to see. But nonetheless, this has been a season to forget for Baker Mayfield. Once upon a time, he was the anointed one when he was taken first overall by the Cleveland Browns back in 2018. But oh, how things have fallen and come apart so quick for him in Northern Ohio. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Browns do in 2022, and it's going to be interesting to see what team the Mayfield is playing for in 2022 as well. If he were to go to another team, I don't think he could be a backup, just for the simple fact that it's too much of a distraction with a guy like him on the marquee out there. It's going to be a detriment to the starting quarterback. It's going to be a quarterback controversy, you name it. So I think Mayfield needs to go to some place where he can be a starter if it is not in Cleveland. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Browns do. They got one more game. Obviously, Mayfield is not playing. He's been shut down, and he's probably going to have that surgery soon. But nonetheless, it just does not come together. And as a final thought, this is why it is so important for teams to strike when the iron is hot as far as being in the postseason. You can't just sit back and say, you know what, we'll get them next year. No, you got to take care of your business when you have that opportunity. The Browns had some opportunities, their fair share of opportunities to get past the Chiefs last year in the divisional round and get to the AFC Championship game against the Buffalo Bills, and they did not get it done. And now this team has taken several steps back. More importantly, Mayfield has taken several steps back. So that's the thing. You have to seize the moment. The Browns went from being one of the hunters last year to being the hunted this season, and it caught up with Mayfield and it caught up with the Browns overall. So let's see what this team does in the offseason. Let's see what Mayfield does in the offseason, and let's see how all parties involved come back potentially for a stronger 2022 NFL season. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.